Welcome back, everybody. Today we have the pleasure of going over the Henry Repeating Arms Big Boy Steel. This one here is chambered in 357 mag, obviously takes a 38 as well. They do make a couple different calibers in this rifle. I think the 44 mag and 45 long Colt. Don't quote me on that. I believe that is the truth though, I should say. This gun obviously is a departure from what we do here a lot on the channel now. I shot some of these when I was hanging out with my friend Such. He tends to be a gateway drug for me for a lot of different guns. He turned me on to the 22 TCM. Also turned me on to some of these Henry rifles. Now, he raved about the quality of them. I shot them. No doubt about it. For me, I'm just going to tell you right up front, the lever gun was a little bit awkward, but it was a lot of fun. So we got it in and did some shooting with it. A few things that folks asked about with these guns is, you know, how's the accuracy on it? Because you're shooting a pistol caliber cartridge. So folks really wanted to know about that. We're going to do an accuracy test coming up next. And folks also really wanted to know with this 20-inch barrel, what kind of velocities are you getting out of it? You know, because you're so used to shooting your 38s, 357s with 2 or 4-inch barrels, seeing the velocity ratings on that. So we're going to see what we get out of it with this 20-inch barrel. After that, we're going to come back inside, check out some of the details of the gun, what make it this unique model from Henry. And at the end, we'll go over it, what I think of it overall, and what my experience has been with it. Whenever I post photos of this on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, people are always asking about the velocity difference. So we're going to try to show that here. Unfortunately, I don't have a 357 revolver. I know some people think I'm crazy for that, but I do have a 38. So we'll test the load there to give you a sort of direct comparison. It's the 158 grain Freedom munitions load we have here. It's a round-nosed flat point load, 157 grain. And then we're also going to test the Gold Dot 357 Magnum load, 135 grain. So we'll see what that is. The chronograph's just downrange at 10 feet, so it's essentially testing muzzle velocity. So let's do it. That one, right? Let's scrap that one. Maybe it is. Test it again. All right. So there you go. That's what you're going to get out of the 4-incher. Same load here. Coming out of the Henry. Pretty big difference there in velocity. And next we're moving on to the 357 Magnum. If I actually run the rifle right. There we see the big difference. Huge difference in velocity and energy. Now, for those that don't know, we should point that out. One thing about a lever action gun is you got to run that lever fully. I hit it on the bag there and short stroked it. So not the gun's fault, but what you see there is a huge difference in energy for both the 38 and 357 round that we fired out of there. So that barrel is definitely going to give you some advantage ballistically. Time to see what kind of accuracy we can get out of this little rifle here. First up, we got some 38 special rounds. These are the Freedom Munition 158 grain. And then more power, we have the 357 Magnum 110 grain Remington HTP rounds here. So the results and point of impact will probably be pretty different with both loads just due to the power and the weight difference. We have the target down range at 50 yards. Reason is that we've had a little bit of gusty wind today. It looks calm right now, but I was afraid with that 38 special, especially if we got down to 100 yards, the wind would be pushing it around a lot. So we cut it down to 50 yards, so we'll just have to double it in terms of groups at 100 yards group size, trying to make the wind not affect it too much. So we have the Trijicon AccuPower 1x4 scope on there, and the rail, the scope mount rail, is the Henry stock rail. So pretty sweet little setup. And enough gabbing. Let's see what kind of results we get. One thing I'll tell you is when you're in the prone position with a lever gun, You really got to try to work it to get those rounds out of there, so it's not the fault of the gun, that's the fault of the guy holding it. Again, that's me, not the gun. Let's see if we get some 357 loads, and then we'll reload that one because I think we're off the left side. You can certainly feel and hear the difference there. So as you guys probably guessed, we zeroed that scope with the 357 loads. So what we're gonna do now is just load up 3 more of these Freedom Munitions rounds and retest it. But right now, I suppose we'll go over the loading procedure for you, for those of you guys that aren't too familiar with it. Right here on the magazine tube underneath the barrel is where you load it, and you twist the end cap there, have it come up there. It is spring loaded, which we'll show you here in a second, which is what causes the rounds to feed. So it's a good thing. You load your round in, gravity will take it down the tube. Load your next one in, same thing, gravity takes it down the tube. And there you go. In case you guys are wondering, it is not a illusion. I am sweating like a hog. It's about 105, 110 degrees out here today, so it's a warm one. But so at that point, all you're gonna need to do is close your action, and next time you run it, the round goes in there. So let's redo this here and see if we can keep these suckers on paper. But obviously the point of impact is a good bit different than the 357 round. Let's go check it out. With any rifle, you always want to check point of aim, point of impact with different rounds, particularly if you're going to use it for defensive purposes. So this one here, we definitely preferred that 357 load. I'm not sure if it was the lighter bullet or the faster velocity or a combination of. You know, we'd have to put a bunch of different rounds through it to find out, but no doubt about it, it preferred that one for sure. You can see there, that particular load, right at 1.5 inches. So, you know, double that out, you're talking about 3 MOA. So pretty good there with a handgun round. And then we had all 3 rounds here. Probably the furthest dispersion is right there. And we are just under 4 inches with that. So we're talking 8 MOA with that 38 special. So no doubt, like I said, it prefers 357 mag. But that's the load that most people would rather use for hunting or self-defense or something like that anyway. So probably better that it likes that one for accuracy. But either way, that's a pretty good group when we're talking pistol caliber cartridges. Getting into some of the details on the rifle, one thing you'll notice up front is that we do have a nice brass bead sight. These are very classic, and they've been working for hundreds of years. Still work just fine, as you guys have seen throughout the video. Now, the barrel on this one here is a round barrel that sort of is a departure from some of Henry's barrels out there that are the traditional barrels, I should say, that are octagonal in shape. One of the benefits of this one is that it cuts the rifle down in terms of weight. It cuts it down by almost 1 pound. So this rifle comes in just over 7 pounds unloaded versus obviously the other ones that are over 8 pounds unloaded. So it makes it a little bit handier, easier to swing around from target to target. But I do admit I do like the octagonal barrels as well, I should say. They look cool, no doubt about it. On the end of the magazine tube here is really nice knurling, so that way you can very easily twist the golden rod out of there, have it come out and feed the magazine tube. Now, we should point out there with 357 mag, at least with some of the gold dots that we've used, the magazine capacity is 10 rounds, and with the 38 special rounds that we've been using from Freedom Munition, 158 grain rounds, you can get 11 in there. So that's the capacity on this particular rifle with those 2 calibers anyway. I would imagine with different OAL, different rounds, it may vary slightly in there, but that is the capacity there. Now, I know we should point out here a lot of folks who are used to lever guns, particularly some of the old Winchesters, like that side loading door. I really think there's kind of pros to both. One of the pros of this type of magazine system is that you can easily and safely unload it. So if you have that side port there, you have to run the action, every time to unload it, whereas with this one, you can just dump it out, but you do give up the ability to quickly feed the magazine there. So pros and cons of each. I don't really think either one's better or worse, just different. As some of you guys watch my friend Suit00's channel. Don's an excellent guy. He's got a couple of these Henry rifles, and he turned me on to them for sure. But one thing that I like about his guns is that they're just gorgeous. He has, you know, the brass receiver ones that are just beautiful, beautiful guns. Shot them, I loved them. But those of you who watch the channel here know that I'm not exactly nice to guns. I don't abuse them per se, but I don't baby guns either. It's just not really what we do here. Now, this one here is a little bit more sort of field expedient, like we talked about. The wood on there is nice, and it has really nice checkering all the way around, both on the forend here as well as on the stock. But I don't feel bad about sort of nicking it up and leaving it against trees, having it drop and stuff like that. That's just fair use, guys. Yeah, if you want to baby the gun, by all means do so. It's a beautiful gun, and it's probably worthy of babying. It's just not really my thing. So I went with this one here with the black oxide finish all the way around. It just looks durable to me, a little bit more, like I said, field expedient. Moving on, we have this rear sight here, which has the little diamond in there. It is adjustable for both windage and elevation. You can adjust the elevation here by just sort of pushing up on this little piece and riding it up, or pull up on it and move that piece forward. I can actually do it here, and moving the sight down. So either way, it's adjustable. So however you need to set it up for whatever load you're using, feel free to do so. Of course, now with this rifle being able to take both 357 mag and 38 special loads, your point of aim and point of impact is going to change a good bit depending on the load. By this point in the video, you've probably figured out that you can mount the scope on here. Henry sells this scope mount, which is really convenient and actually relatively inexpensive. All you need to do is take these 3 different screws out here and put the ones in here that come with the scope mount. I don't want to quote a price because I'm sure I'll get it wrong off the top of my head, but it's really inexpensive. Locks in solidly, though, to that upper receiver here, and you're able to use any sort of scope that you want. One thing I should point out is that depending on the size of your scope, you may have to remove the rear sight here, which is very easy, and it comes with instructions when you order your scope mount, so no issues there. When I brought this rifle home, my wife looked at it and she looked a little bit perplexed because obviously a lot of the guns we use here don't quite look like this one. And she said, "What's the point of that?" And of course, one of the points is that it's an extremely fun gun to shoot. And I took her out there, obviously, as you guys have seen. She's shot a good bit of rounds through this gun, actually. She really likes it. One of the reasons is it's just so low recoiling. Even with the 357 mag loads, she has no issues with it in terms of recoil. So one of the things that helps with that, obviously, is this very generous rubber butt pad that you see here. You can see it's got plenty of give to absorb any sort of recoil you can have there. But again, with the 7-pound weight and even like a 357 mag, it's almost no recoil. With 38s, it's really about as close to no recoil as you can get without shooting a 22. I think we missed a few things in terms of details. First off, reliability with a lever gun is always really good. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not experienced with a lever gun, as well, at least as much as some folks out there. I have some experience with it, and I'm sure there's some folks out there who are like champion cowboy action shooters watching this video, like banging their head against the wall, like, what is he doing? But I can tell you, I had a few malfunctions with it. Every time it was 100% user error. I think you guys saw one during the velocity testing. So you got to make sure you run the gun hard, but when you do that, it will work just fine. So no issues there. If I was actually doing my part in terms of feeding any ammo, we had, I think, 3 different 357 loads through it, a couple different Freedom loads, and 38 special ran through it, all of them just fine. So that's one good thing. I know some guns which are chambered for, you know, the larger caliber, 357 in this case, have issues with the sort of smaller caliber 38, or if you have a 44 mag, loading the 44 special. From everything I've read, the Henrys do really well on that. That's been my experience as well. The action on it, really smooth all the way around. No like rough spots or anything in there. And the trigger on these guns, if you guys haven't felt them, a lot of lever guns have really good triggers. This one's absolutely no exception. It has a really nice clean break, right around 3 pounds, 3 to 4 pounds. At least on my trigger scale, it broke right in between, depending on where you actually measure it on the trigger. That obviously aided in some of the good accuracy you saw there with that 357 Magnum load. So that's pretty much the details in terms of my experience. Like I said, a lot of fun to shoot. My wife really shot it well, had a lot of fun with it. And the price point on this one, I think the MSRP on these guns is like $850. I checked today online, looked around a few different places, and you can find them from anywhere like $700 to $750 seems to be pretty much the common street price for these guns, in which I think is very fair for what you get. It seems to be an extremely well-built gun, well-fit gun. Functions great, as you guys have seen, and really is just a lot of fun out there on the range. I can pretty much tell you one thing about this, though. This probably won't be the last lever action gun that you see here on the channel. I really liked it. Had a lot of fun with it for sure, and philosophies of use for it, I guess you could say. Certainly hunting. I mean, a lot of folks out there will hunt with pistol caliber rounds, and with the velocity that you're getting out there for that 357 mag load, and the accuracy we got out of it, which was really good as well. I could definitely see it taking down deer or something of that size. I think for folks that live in banned states, this would be a very good gun for home defense. You know, if you are limited in terms of capacity, or limited in terms of not being able to have a muzzle device, or not being able to have a semi-automatic, depending on what state you live in. I know some of you guys overseas watching as well. Again, I think it'd be a perfectly capable home defense gun. It's handy, it's light, and it has low recoil. Fires certainly a proven round of that 357 Magnum. It's been known to do pretty well against human targets, so I think it could do well in that role as well. But I think that's about it. If you guys have any questions about the gun that we didn't talk about here in the video, by all means post below in the comment section. If I can't answer them, some of the other viewers will. I'm sure you guys are really good about that. But you can also post those questions over at my Facebook page as always. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next video. Told you would.
I didn't think I would. I like it though.
How's the recoil?
There's none.
That's
why I like it.
I know.
I'm a fan.